What was the first thing that came to your head when you saw your name on the billboard in New York City?
Bro, I was at work and I froze.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna happen. I knew
Mhm.
it was like because I was speaking with my team and they told me about the availability and the possibility of this happening. But even if you expect something, something just happens and you kind of freeze. So I was at work and I
Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bani Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show with your boy Boni Kibuka for a new episode on the podcast. I'm so excited that I keep getting new people to come to the podcast. But today's guest is not actually new on the podcast. He has been here before and he came here to talk about himself. And for those of you who have not listened to this guest, his name is none other than Jesse10s, and he was here on the show back in season one. So if you go back in the videos, you'll actually listen to his story, his life, where he grew up. And today I'm hosting him back to just talk about something different. So if you listen to today's podcast and you don't really understand who is this guy, where is he from? He talked about all that back in season one. So if you want to check that out, go and check it out. Welcome to the show, Jesse10s.
I'm grateful to be here, my brother. Thank you for having me once again. I'm a huge fan of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show.
Yeah, we
I'm a
love you.
huge fan.
We love you, Jesse. And I'm so excited to have you here. It was a great time having you back in season one. But I remember back then, I didn't really have like a video. We were still using
Yes.
like the audio. So a lot of people didn't get to see your face. So I'm excited that today people can actually see you and know who you are from your picture.
I'm glad they can see.
Yeah. So how has life been? How have you been?
Man, not gonna lie to you, I cannot complain.
Mhm.
God is good, God is good. I have been very, very well,
Nice.
I have been treated very well. How about you? How about yourself? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. I'm so excited that the podcast is still going on and still growing and developing. So I really like it and getting involved in this and hosting people. And I'm excited to host you back here. Um, One thing I'm gonna do for the people who didn't listen to the older episode that you recorded, just tell them where you're from in Uganda, and that will do it.
Yeah, so I am from Kansanga Buziga area. So anybody who knows that, Konge Road, Munyonyo
Mhm.
Road, that's my area. That's where I come from, much in this side, where I grew up from.
Shout out to Wanabe Machindi, the boys in the
Yeah.
building. So,
Shout out to all of them.
mhm. So a lot has happened ever since I hosted you back in season one. I don't remember, like you've done a lot of things, and we're gonna break those down through music wise or life wise. And I've been following you on social media. There's a lot of stuff like you've been doing. Like one, tell us you went skiing. So tell us about that experience. I saw you went skiing.
Yeah, I mean, I went skiing for the first time, man, and
Mhm.
it was an amazing experience. Obviously, it reminded me a lot of Gogoro,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
if,
yeah,
if you've done Gogoro before, and
yeah. Yeah, I
it
went
reminded me
skiing.
of that.
I
Yeah,
went
it reminded me
skiing
of that.
in North Carolina. I didn't really like it because I wasn't used to that. I mean, I'll go golo, you just sit on the jerrycan and just takes you down. But
Yeah,
I went in the training and this guy was like, if you're sloping down, just do a pizza and then you will stop. So I went
yeah,
down the hill.
exactly.
I tried the pizza, I couldn't stop. So I ended up just falling.
No, not gonna lie, bro. I fell a number of times, but it was amazing. Actually, my girlfriend convinced me to try it,
Okay.
and she took me doing that for my birthday. I mean, it was amazing experience.
Mhm.
But in that time, you said a lot of things have happened,
Yeah.
and I want to say congratulations. I've been watching the growth of this show, and I
Mhm.
am proud of the of where we've come, and And because not only is it a big achievement, but it also shows you that, the potential is there, and with
Mhm.
the sky is not even the limit, my brother. It's the
Yeah.
stepping stone.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really honored to have people like you and people supporting. There's been a lot of people back there like supporting and keep pushing, and this fuels what I do, and I really appreciate. Talking more of that, you've traveled a lot of places. You were in Cote d'Ivoire, and
Yeah.
you were on a horse. I've not seen a lot of black people on horses, riding horses. What was the experience like?
I mean, my girlfriend's from Cote d'Ivoire, so we
Okay.
visited. I wanted to see, a little bit more of her culture, and it
Mhm.
was great going there. But then, Africa is a beautiful place. Wherever you go, for some reason, Cote d'Ivoire is like Uganda, but not like Uganda. The
Mhm.
people are very much like Uganda,
Yeah.
but then it's not like Uganda because you see different things like, houses. People have
Mhm.
houses over there. So I was like, you know what, I'll try one. So I tried that and jumped on one. It was a funny experience, man. It was the first time on a horse as well.
Yeah. But did you liked it? Did you love it?
I enjoyed it before I fell. After I
Okay.
fell,
I was
not
gonna
so
ask if you failed. Do you think it's
no, I
something
fell.
do you think it's
Of course,
something that you'll do again?
I would need a little bit more convincing.
Okay.
I think I may try it again if this
Yeah.
time I don't fall. Obviously, when we posted it on social media, we didn't post the part where I fell.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll try getting on a host again.
That's a nice
I
thing
think.
of the podcast. So when you host somebody who tells you the behind the scenes that you don't really see on the social media. But I
Yeah.
asked you those two areas because I know myself, I didn't really like skiing and I wanted to hear your experience about it. And I'm really afraid of horses because I'm scared to fall down. So that's why I asked you those two experiences.
I mean, I think falling off our horses, like, I would take it like, when we were learning to ride bikes in Uganda, it's
Mhm.
inevitable you have to fall at one point.
Right. Yeah. You
Yeah,
have to fall
you have
when
to
you get
fall to,
used to it.
to do it better. Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse, I just touched base on your lifestyle a little bit because I wanted to hear from your experience from your life and what you've been doing. But mainly, I brought you here to just talk about your music. You've talked about how my podcast has grown, but I follow you on social media and seeing how developing, like how you're growing music wise. There's big things you're doing. We're going to talk about today. And like earlier today, or in March, was it around March? You dropped a new album to bless,
Yes.
too blessed to stress. How
Yeah.
did you come up with that name, and what does it mean to you personally? And then what does it mean to your fans from the title of the album?
I think if my fans have watched me for a little while, they will notice that in my songs, I talk a lot about not worrying and finding your peace in God, knowing who you are in Christ. And if you understand who you are in Christ,
Mhm.
some things are no longer going to bother you as much. I mean, it's a, we are humans. It's easy. We all go through things at any one point. There's always everyone goes through something at one point. But the way you face it, the way you see yourself, and me seeing myself as a child of God, and whenever circumstances come by, I just have this mantra, this saying. It's my alibi. It's basically like my motto. The
Mhm.
way I see things is that if something happens to me, if something happens, I can deal with it in two ways. Can I change it? Yes, then I'm not going to worry about something I can change. If I cannot change it, then why should I worry about something I cannot change?
Mhm.
You see that? So,
Yeah.
and I realized I am very blessed. I can't stress about something because guess what? I am privileged enough to have God on a hotline that I can just pray, get on my knees and pray and say,
Mhm.
"Dear Lord, deal with this,"
Yeah.
and realizing that it's a blessing
Mhm.
to have that connection with God.
Yeah.
It's it's amazing, you know,
Mhm.
because um, many times other people also have this opportunity, but they never think about it.
Yeah.
So seeing myself as a child of God and seeing that I know that I am very blessed, you know. That's why I said I'm too blessed to stress. So I can't stress about something if I know I'm blessed.
Right.
Some things we stress about, and then you figure out it was never like that. So, you know, looking at when you read the Bible, and in my song Control, I talk about this in my verse that, you know, the birds in the air, they do not farm, you know, but you feed them. The lilies in the field, they don't make their own rain. And yet, you know, the verse says, and they still look more beautiful than Solomon's finest cots, you know, and Solomon is one of the richest men in the Bible. So, realizing who I am in Christ and knowing that I'm a child of God, and realizing that Christ already won the war. I may lose a battle here and there, but Christ already won the war. This made me realize that I am blessed. I'm a champion because Christ made me one, you know, a conqueror, as Paul says. It really, really changed the dynamics of many things for me. And I started approaching different situations in a different way. And the results were very, very different. So that's when I was working on the album. And when I was working on the album, I had a few moments where it was, you know, a few stressing, you know, like some things that can stress, you know, trying to work with some artists, getting them on the project is a little hard, you know, going through management and all of that. And whenever I chose that, funny thing is when I chose the album name is when I started facing things that, you know, were challenging me.
Yeah.
That were pushing me to stress. And it was very important to remember this along the way, to remember this and know that I can't stress. It was amazing. And hopefully I pray that this album continues to, you know, impact people's lives and they get to realize this, you know, that we're too blessed to stress.
Right. That's why I didn't really want to interrupt you when you started explaining what you were thinking making this album, because I wanted to hear your words and I want people to actually listen to you say these words, because the title itself, like, you're too blessed to stress. Like, there's a lot of things. And I know some of the things, the one thing you wrote on your Instagram was like, I wrote these songs to remind us about his life and how blessed we are. And like everybody listening to this song or listening to this podcast right now, these some good songs on this album. Like you mentioned Control, that's one of my favorite songs, and actually I was gonna say that later on, but so thank you for explaining that. Now, from this album, what is your favorite song on the album and why? I know you love all the songs, but like what song would you pick and why?
To be honest with you, it varies from time to time. I can have a favorite from time to time, but it's interesting the way each one of those songs was made is interesting. Currently, the one I enjoy the most, I would say, is For Me, Be So. I worked on it with a friend of mine. He's from Belgium. He's Congolese, so you can hear some Lingala and some French in the song. But you know, it says, "If the chorus is, if my God is for me, then who can stand against me?"
Right.
And again, it goes back to you know, being too blessed to stress. It doesn't matter the situation before me. If my God is for me, I got it. You know, so it currently I've been listening to it right now a lot more than the others.
Yeah.
But that varies from time to time. One point it can be party depending on the mood I'm in.
Yeah. I wanted to know like what song you would pick. But yeah, I mean all the songs are really good. I've been just playing this album today the whole day over and over. And I really like it. I like the vibe, the beats that you chose to put in these songs. Now, when you're explaining how you made this album, you you talked about how hard it is to find artists to put on the album. So I want you to, what was the whole experience? You had about 9 artists on this album, like 9 featured artists. How was the whole experience to get all those people on this album?
I mean, man, God made a way, to be honest with you. Like some of those people I got to meet because Some of them, you notice there's a lot of languages on the album. I wanted to reach as far as possible. I wanted to touch different markets. I was trying to break through into different markets, and I also wanted an album, whereby there's a lot of languages. I wanted something very diverse, and I it was it's kind of difficult walking around every artist's release schedule, because you want to release it around the time that everyone's comfortable with, so that they can also promote on their social media. You don't want to release on the same day and things like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, working with people, because they're in different locations and some of them we've never met, so working online, and it's something I started working on before the pandemic, but most of it was done during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So things kind of had to go on hold. It was hard to go to studio because we were in lockdown. We didn't know how we're going to work. Now everything is going back to normal. There were no vaccines then, so it was very, very, very hard to kind of make it happen. But every artist, I kind of had a list of the people I wanted to work with, and I reached out to them, and I got most of them, and I was happy everything came to life. It's a very, very diverse album. Like I mentioned, Vichis is from Belgium. There's another guy, Habila Points, is from Paris, France, and then there's like Orlando Music. He's from Panama, and then there's like Limo Blaze from Nigeria, Amos from Nigeria, and then of course Levixon from Uganda, and there's Lucas Music from Jamaica. So, and King D from South Africa. So it is a geographically well represented, and it was kind of hard linking up all those people,
right,
and making, hitting deadlines and all of that. But in the end, all the glory goes to God, because he made it happen. He opened doors for me, and it was a blessing to be able to come up with something as beautiful as that.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even know all those artists came from a bunch of different countries. It's almost like each song is from a different country. But speaking of Panama, I realized you shot a video of Control, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've already said that's my favorite song, and I like the video of Control. Is that the song you went to shoot in Panama?
I shot 3 videos in Panama.
Okay.
I just released them at different times. Even the studio version was shot in Panama.
Yeah.
And then the song Need You remix, because Orlando Music is from Panama. I shot the video with him when I visited, actually. So I went to, get this with him, and then I ended up doing all these other songs.
Right. That's really cool. And how was your experience in Panama? Yeah, I know you had never been there before, maybe. I don't know, but how was your experience there?
Man, it was crazy because, as you know, no hablo español. I don't speak no Spanish, bro. So it was intriguing. I remember, like, when I landed at the airport, I was looking for directions and I couldn't find anything. So I went to speak to people, and I tried, like, Google Translator and everything like that. And, it was a little hard, and I had to make a few calls. And, like, when you just landed, sometimes you're still looking for network you're trying to roam. So it was hard for me to go on Google to find something. But luckily enough, like, my host, Ivan, shout out Ivan Thompson, I know he'll take it out. And he was able to translate, to speak to someone who I found at the airport, because some people ask them, and I'm trying to give them the phone to speak so I can get direction, and they're scared to touch your phone because it's COVID time. No one wants to touch anybody, But it was amazing, man. It was amazing seeing a different country, different culture. It feels like Uganda a lot, actually, in Panama. It's very tropical.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your pictures, your video. I mean, like I say, I follow your social media, so I follow most of the stuff that you do. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of things that have happened ever since I hosted you back here. Your songs are played on a lot of different platforms. Like, can you break down some of the platforms that your songs are played to? I know one of my friends actually messaged me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, is Jesse your friend? I just saw his song on Tres TV or like something like that." Like, what are some of
Oh
the
yeah.
platforms like where your music has played?
Yeah, I mean, God has been good to me. To be honest with you, earlier on in my career, I have been blessed to, to have a few doors open for me and have a large, vast network of people
Mhm,
that I've been able to, get my music in places like Trash and MTV and even TBN and God TV in the UK. So I'm sure you may know TBN because of
mhm.
Lighthouse in Uganda,
Right.
LTV. Yeah. So I've been able to get onto some big global networks, and it's amazing, man. Because earlier on in my career, like when I was starting to make music, a lot of people would try to put me on pressure to make secular music, saying you can never break through doing Christian music,
Mhm.
and persisting with that and doing Christian music and getting to where I've been able to get to, it's only God, because even the people who would have convinced me to do secular music, some of them have not got as far.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of them, this previous week, a few friend of mine reached out and was like, "Man, you really proved me wrong, and I'm happy you proved me wrong." Because and I didn't do it to prove him wrong. I just kept working,
Right.
and God is amazing. Like
Mhm.
obviously, if you serve God, He's gonna do amazing things for you, and it just opened up.
That's perfect, and it's the same thing. Like I've say, like your music has grown, and I think you have a blessing of God, and having to see your music play all over the place. Just a kid from Machi India, and now his
You
music is
already know,
globally.
bro.
But so now going back to yourself, like how many music instruments do you play? I've seen you on a piano. I've seen you on like what? How many music instruments do you play?
I would say safe to say three.
Okay. What
Yeah, I
is
play
that?
drums.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I play drums and I play guitar and I play keyboard.
Okay.
I wouldn't count bass guitar because I'm really really amateur in it. And then that varies if you want to differentiate like electric guitar and acoustic guitar, but I would just count both guitars as one. So
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember when I visited you years back, you had your acoustic guitar that you played for me when I came to visit your home. And that
yeah,
that brings me to you just released the acoustic song of Remember. And I remember the
yeah.
last episode I had you, I told you Remember was my song. And when I shared it on my Instagram, I told you the song. Every time I listen to it, it brings tears to my eyes because it just reminds me of I remember where God got me from. I remember what He has brought me through. And that's such a powerful song. What made you want to do the acoustic of that song?
Um, I mean, it's an emotional song. One time I sat down and I figured out that I think it still has a lot of potential to bless a lot of lives. I mean, you just mentioned when you visited me, a lot of people don't know where we come, like
Yeah.
where we come from. Even when we just got to the U.S., you really, you saw everything happening
Mhm.
in the early stages. I remember when I showed you, like, yeah, look, I'm trying to make a studio. I'm trying to have everything. Remember,
Yeah.
so, but being able to come from um from Kansanga and looking how far we are. I mean, one of my favorite lines in Remember, I would explain because many people don't understand it. I said from shackles to Yeezys, like coming from wearing Lugavide and then being
Mhm.
able to get like Yeezys. It's like it's amazing. It's
Yeah, yeah,
incredible,
it
right?
is.
And
Uh-huh.
being coming from borders to being able to fly
Yeah.
on planes
Oh,
here and there. It's amazing because it's it's stuff that sometimes you dream of, but you're
mhm.
not sure when it's even gonna happen. It's something you dream of, and you just think like, okay, whatever. Maybe one day, sometimes it's even hard to set a goal.
Mhm.
And coming from Kansanga, playing soccer,
Yeah.
in a field that is just has no grass, it's just soil, playing with my friends, coming from
Mhm.
such a background and being here, it surely I'll be very ungrateful not to be thankful of God, and where He brought us from. I think one time I was listening to this song. There's this praise song in Uganda, and I'm sure you know it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I listened to that song one time and I was like, you know what? I started remembering.
Mhm.
And one time I had that beat for Remember and I started working on it. And I am grateful for how far the Lord has brought us.
Nice. Yeah. The lyrics of that song, remember. And if anybody is listening right now and you've not listened to this song, go check it out. I think it will bless you. A lot of his songs will bless you because he sings his lyrics from his personal life, and you can relate to a lot of these songs, and go check them out. So the other thing I was going to mention was you posted a picture on Instagram, and the caption was certified Jesus Lover Boy. And I know Drake just dropped his album. So when are we expecting the album of the certified Jesus Lover Boy to drop?
You know what? That was an Instagram caption, but why not? We may have something we may never know.
Okay.
Because everybody was talking about being certified lover boy, this and that, and I was like, you know what? I'm a certified Jesus boy, because I go
Uh-huh.
all the way for Christ.
Yeah, that's the same thing that came in my head. I was like, I need to ask this guy about this when I host him on the podcast to just tell me about that. Now, Jesse, we're almost coming close to the end of this show, but I saved the best for the last, bro. What was the first thing that came to your head when you saw your name on the billboard in New York City?
Bro, I was at work and I froze.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna happen. I knew
Mhm.
it was like because I was speaking with my team and they told me about the availability and the possibility of this happening. But even if you expect something, something just happens and you kind of freeze. So I was at work and I froze and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna think something's wrong with me. So I had to
Mhm.
like pretend that everything is okay.
Yeah.
I met with my girlfriend and I showed her this and she could not believe it. She was like, what? What? For I struggled to make a caption for Instagram when I was
Mhm.
gonna post it for a good 30 minutes because we
Yeah.
were just reacting.
I bet that'll be it. Like even when I saw it myself the first time, I was like, man, like we've talked about that like before we even talked about having your picture on the billboard in New York City. Like people who don't know, it's really not easy like to just have your picture there. Like a kid from March, India, that just like what he just
From
said,
much,
like
I mean,
nobody
Bonnie,
knew
you can.
you.
I'm from much India. You're from Wakiso,
I
and
know.
we've traveled this far.
Yeah,
It's
like I even myself, like I wasn't the one on the billboard, but I was like, dang, like I was sure it was like my boy. I was just happy, excited, and cheering you from all the way in Michigan. I was like, go, Jesse, go. Like you don't
yeah. I
don't
mean, you
stop right
cheered on
now.
me
Like
from day one.
I was like, yeah, go. So if you all don't know, our listeners, Jesse had his name and his album cover shared, posted on the billboards in New York City, Times Square. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Times Square.
that's such a great accomplishment, a big thing to Jesse and his team and his music career. So to this point, I want to ask you, Jesse, what kind of message would you send to young boys in Uganda trying to do music or trying to find their dream right now?
I would say first thing first. Never forget the reason why you start making music, and avoid comparing yourself to many people. It's very easy to compare yourself in the music industry, and it's important to learn that everything happens in God's timing. Um, uh, I may have got on on the billboards right now, but Bonnie, you met me in 2015,
Mhm.
2016 when I was still learning my craft. So it takes time, and it's very easy to run into comparisons. So avoid comparisons. You can see people's highlights, but many times if you watch a movie for 1 hour, they spent a year shooting it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So avoid comparisons, believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one's ever going to believe in you. And believe in yourself, believe in what you do, even when sometimes you feel like giving up and doubting. It's important to remember why you started making music in the first place. If you're making music, it's because you love it in the beginning. I mean, money, all those things come along the way, but there comes a time where you're going to be tried. But if you remember why you started doing it, you'll know it's worth it. And try to network as possible. Try to network as possible. If you're an artist, it's like running a small business, so you need contacts. And push yourself. Try to improvise and think of many ways how you can break out. And that is the advice that I can give them, and the advice I give to myself every single time.
Nice. That's so powerful, Joshua. And when you said when you watch a movie for an hour, it took them a year to make it. That hit me. I've never heard of it, but like that hit me right. And just started thinking about it. And it's something that I'm gonna stay thinking about tonight, just like to know that something just doesn't happen. It takes a long time to make it happen. Um,
Yeah.
so my final question to you, I know this is your second time coming on the show. I don't think I'm going to ask you my signature questions, but what I've started asking people is like, who do you want to see on the show next? And you be able to help us get that person on the show.
Who would I want to see on the show, and I can help you get the person on the show? I have a few people.
Okay.
I'd like to see Smart Keys. I'd like to see Exodus
Mm-hmm.
on the show. I'd like to also see the name the name's just gone. The name's just gone. The name's just gone. But yeah, I would like to see those two people on the show.
Okay.
But I would also like to see. I'd also like to see one of our good friends, Brian, on the show.
I think yeah, Brian and Kasule. I think I'll bring both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I I would love to see them on the show. And
Okay.
by the way, before we go, I want to send my greetings to your wife, to your beautiful wife, and I I love you guys, man. I love you guys.
Yeah, Jesse, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful for every time I get to host you here on the show and just you speak wisdom to the people. And the reason why I like to bring you here a lot is even people message me, hey, Bonnie, I'm an upcoming artist. Will you promote me on your podcast? And can so I want to host you because you're somewhere and you can lift somebody else. And the motto of my podcast is we rise by lifting each other up. And I know
That's very true.
you're still on your journey, but then you have experienced things that can help somebody else come up. And that's why I like to bring you and everybody out there who is doing music. Here's Jesse, and we're gonna share his contacts. Follow him on his social media, Instagram. He uses Jesse10s on everything, and I'll put it in the description. So, Jesse, my brother, thank you very much for these 30 minutes, and I wish you a good night.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and shout out to everybody who's tuned in. Don't forget to, after you listen, please share this with everyone.
Nice. Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode of my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.